If it looks like I was just crying, I was. You can blame TikTok for that. Today is a very exciting video. As you can see by the title of this video, today I'm going to be reading my most anticipated new release of 2024. I just hit myself in the face. Reckless by Lauren Roberts. I have been so pumped to read this book. So my original thought for this video was I was going to have a mega reading vlog where I reread Powerless and Powerful and then I read Reckless. One, that's too much. Two, I don't got time to reread. I just want to jump right into Reckless, so that's what I'm going to do. And I think what I'm going to do for Reckless specifically is I'm going to split this into two videos like I did for Heir of Fire. I'm going to have one video that is spoiler free for those that haven't read it yet, since this is a fresh new release and I know that some people haven't had a chance to read it yet. So if you want to just watch for the vibes and reactions and such, there's going to be a non-spoiler vlog, and then I'll do a full spoiler reading vlog for those that have already read it and are super excited to just see other people's reactions and just want to see what everyone's thoughts are, because I've seen some pretty insane reactions to this book, specifically the ending. I have done such a good job in avoiding any sort of spoilers, because I know there's so many people that are just out there spoilering? They're saying spoilers all over the internet, and I have avoided them, thankfully, and I'm going in completely blind for the most part, other than the knowledge of the first couple books. You know what I'm saying. Anyways, that is my plan. 2 videos, Reckless, most anticipated read. There's nothing else that I can say in this intro, so let's just get right into reading Reckless. Okay, let's go. So I've only read the prologue. So we're picking up on down the line after everything that happened in Powerless happened. Kai's dealing with all of his stuff. He's Mr. Grumpy Gills, as we all know. And Kit is now king. And Kai has his first mission. And they're alluding to it being about Paden. That is just where we are right now. But this scene, Gale makes a sticky bun. Kai takes it out to a tree. And he says, "Happy birthday, A." Are we talking about Adina? Because at the end of Powerless, I haven't read it in a while, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty positive the way that Adina dies in Powerless is from like a tree branch going through her, right? So she in the tree, and Kai just gave her a sticky bun for her happy birthday, even though he knows that Adina and Paden were like best friends. And if it's not Adina, then who's A? It's very like Pretty Little Liars-esque. I'm doing a lot of thinking for just the prologue. Okay, anyways, we're starting off a little further down the line. Kai is Enforcer, Kit is King, Paden, haven't gotten to her yet. Adina, I think she's in the tree. I'm losing my mind. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading. Okay. so I am on chapter 7. I'm about 50-ish pages in, and I just wanted to give a little bit of an update on where I'm at, what I'm thinking. As far as overall feelings, I love Lauren Roberts, love her writing, and I'm very excited to see where this book goes, because right now we haven't gone anywhere. I know that being 50 pages into a book isn't a lot, obviously, but for this being a sequel, I kind of expected it to just kick off and just like have a bunch of things happening. I don't know, just these chapters feel very repetitive. So obviously we're going back and forth between Peyton's perspective and Kai's perspective. And just to give you a gist, all that we're talking about is regrets from what happened in the trials and Powerless, anger at each other for what they found out at the end of Powerless, and both of them admitting every single chapter to themselves that they are going insane or they are insane. And that's it. I'm just ready for something else to happen, you know? Kai and Peyton have crossed paths once, and this was in like the first chapter or two in this hunt that we knew was going to be happening. And for the 5 or so chapters after that has been Peyton in the desert and Kai just being like, I'm going to get her, but I love her, but I hate her. That's basically it. And I know I'm super early in this book, and you know, my history with thinking that I have an opinion about a book and then it immediately changing like the next chapter or like the next page, that's very on brand for me. I don't know. I'm ready for this to pick up. I'm ready to see what's gonna happen, what this story is going to entail, because it can't just be Kai chasing Peyton, right? Like, it can't just be that. I'm also very much wanting and needing a certain character to be introduced in this book, because we met him in Powerful, but I need him. If you know, you know. Love Lauren Roberts' writing. I'm kind of getting tired of every chapter of them calling themselves insane, but I'm very hopeful on how this is going to move forward and what's going to happen. I'm only 50 pages in. This is a shorter fantasy book, in my opinion. This is like around 350 pages. I'm used to reading fantasy books that are like 450 to 500 pages, if not more. I personally would expect a little bit more to be happening in the first 50 pages or so, but also I could just be, I know I'm being very picky. That's just because I have a lot of excitement about this book, like most anticipated read of 2024. So it's probably going to pick up in the next chapter, but these are my thoughts as of right now in the first 50 or so pages, first 6 chapters. That's where my head's at. So I'm going to keep reading. I have my Kindle set up because just holding a physical book is just so hard. Anyways, I'm just going to keep reading and I'll come back with an update when I have one. So, yeah. I don't know how I feel about this book. I know in my last update, I wanted more things to happen. Some things are happening, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings because something happens that I feel like we've been waiting for since the beginning of Powerless. I don't know how I feel about the way that it happened. I am confusion. So we are in, I think it's called Door. Kai finds Peyton because she's fighting all these matches to make money. They strike up a deal where if she wins, he lets her go. If he wins, she goes back to, was it Ildir? I don't know. She goes back home. And when she proposes this deal to Kai, they end up making out on a rooftop. And that's everything that's happened. The last time that I updated you, she got to the city, and now all that's happened in 60 pages is she has started fighting for money. Peyton finds her, they kiss, and now they're fighting in a match. Am I crazy? Am I just really picky about this? I feel like I'm 27% into this book, and I feel like nothing substantial has been happening. It's still revolving around what happened in Powerless. It's very much, you killed my father. Well, you killed my father, you know? And it's just really focusing on the enemies to lovers, Peyton running from Kai. And like, I knew this was gonna happen, but I don't know. I feel like I was expecting and wanting some other subplot. Like, hear me out. I can't remember his name right now for the life of me, but the guy in Powerful, I was expecting him to turn up, him and Peyton to strike up a deal and work together. What is it called? Is it the Revolution that happened in Powerless? What happened with that? Now we're just running for a third of the book, but what happened immediately after everything that happened in Powerless? All we're doing is running through the desert. Am I being really picky? I feel like I'm being really picky, but also I feel like I'm not. I don't know. I love Peyton and Kai. I just don't want to read about this for 250 more pages. Him chasing after her, them trying to figure out their feelings for each other. I got that. I just want something different. I want something more. I don't know. I don't know how much of an update this is, and I'm probably being very, very annoying with how picky I'm being with this. I don't know why I'm not enjoying this as much. Well, I do know why, because Powerless, there was a very entertaining plot line. If the whole plot line in this is Kai chasing Peyton and them trying to figure out their feelings on whether or not they should love or hate each other, I'm not going to be the happiest camper. I really, really hope that this picks up super quickly, because I'm just, I don't know, I'm not feeling it. And I had some good reactions to a couple of things, but overall, I don't know. I really hope that I'm just being too picky. I hope that it really picks up, because I want to love this book so much. I really, really do. Okay. I'm probably annoying people to no end right now, but that's my update. I'm just gonna keep reading. I'm hoping to finish this today. We'll just see. We'll just see. We have some new developments. So First off, I am on chapter 22, page 161, slowly but surely making my way through this book. After my last update, I got even more worried about what this book was going to contain. It just continued down the path of not really having much of a plot going on. It was very much character driven, just this is what happened in Powerless. This is how we're all coping, and these are simply the events that happened afterwards. There wasn't any noticeable forward projection. But now we have some characters coming back in. It's not just Paedon and Kai now. We have something different now. It's starting to look up a bit. We know some of the aftermath that I was wondering about earlier. After the uprising that happened in Powerless, that the rebellion is no more. The battle at the bowl at the final trial, it did not go well for them. But we have Lenny, Lena. Oh my god, I just read his name. Holy crap. Finn. We have all of them back now. So, fun a little group outing. I don't know what that was. Oh my god. Anyways, I'm very happy to see more characters. I was very worried that it was just going to be Paedon and Kai for the entire book. I mean, for almost 50% of the book, it was just Paedon and Kai dealing with what happened in Powerless, but also what happened further in their past. Like, there wasn't really anything going on. It was just coping with things. Yeah. Now I'm starting to sense a little bit of what we're going to be focusing on, maybe. There are little nuggets that have been discussed in this book. Like, there's mention of the queen being ill. Kit is not doing well. I feel like there's going to be some crazy stuff that happens when they get back to Ilya. Another thing I will say, I really enjoy the kind of banter that Lauren Roberts writes when it comes between Paedon and Kai. They just like bicker. It's so funny. It's very sarcastic, and I love it. I love the way that Lauren Roberts writes. I was worried about the plot. I'm starting to get a little bit more hope. So hopefully it's just up from here. It just took longer than I was expecting to get it kicked off. So hopefully we're on the up and up. Don't know why I'm speaking with my hands. I'm still gonna try and finish this book today. I just don't know if I'll be able to. I thought I was gonna burp, but I didn't. But this is starting to feel like we're going somewhere now. I have some more hope. I can't words, so I'm just gonna get back to reading. I'm gonna read words and not speak them. Yeah. It is several hours later since I last updated. Dog hair everywhere. Ugh. It's been several hours since I last updated. I may or may not have taken a 1, maybe a 2-hour nap. It was much needed, to say the least. I wanted to give a little bit of an update on how I'm feeling about Reckless now, because it's been a bit of a roller coaster. I am on chapter 32, page 227, and things are really starting to pick up now. I will say that I wish that Lenny, Lena, and Finn stuck around longer. It's like they were there for like 2 chapters, and then Paedon and Kai get captured by Raphael, who was like the collector for all the gambling and everything. Then they're captured, like all of a sudden. It doesn't say how they're captured, they just assume that they were drugged. I kind of wish that they went into a little bit more detail about how that happened. I'm sure that we'll find out more once we're hopefully reunited with Lena, Lenny, and Finn. All I have to say is the sewer scene. It's like part of me is like, can y'all like wait a minute, like try and figure out a way to get out of the situation? But also, it's like you both think that you're about to die and you take that time to basically say that they don't regret anything when it comes to each other. I can't. Also, before all of that, when Lena, Lenny, and oh my god, I keep forgetting his name. When Finn, Lena, and Lenny are all around, we meet Lenny's mom, who over the course of however long, I don't think it really says how long she's been doing this, but she's been almost like collecting people that are like mixed when it comes to powers. Like they're not fully elite, but they're not ordinary. Like they have different percentage levels of powers. I had a feeling that there was going to be a plot point in there that had something to do with that, and the plot point was there, and then nothing. It feels like in this book there are a lot of things that are being introduced, like plot points that are just being placed underneath the enemies to lovers romance. It just feels like this is a story of Paedon and Kai, enemies to lovers. It feels like this is a romance story with a subplot of fantasy. Do you get what I'm saying? A lot of times with fantasy books that have romance in them, it is the fantasy plot point with romance subplot. It feels like this kind of flipped, and I don't know if it was for a reason or if this is just her vibe. And I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm saying that it's just not what I expected. But I do wish that I knew more of what was going on. Keep getting hints of other things that are happening and things that might come up. We're just not talking about it. Like we found out what happened after everything in Powerless, but it's like they just talked about it and they said this happened. And then we went back to Paedon and Kai of them being like, I hate you, but I can't resist you kind of thing. That's been the whole book. I don't know. This could very much just be a me problem. I'm fully aware of that, but I'm just like, I was not expecting this to be so romance heavy with the subplot of fantasy. Unless the entire last like 40% of the book is flipped back to where it's fantasy and then romance. But Milo, you're picking right now to eat and drink. I love you so much, but you are so loud sometimes. Unless it flips in the last 40% of the book where it's fantasy and then romance subplot, I'm gonna consider this more of a romance storyline for at least this book. Powerless definitely had the fantasy with the subplot of like the tension that was between them. Now it's just, this is all Paedon and Kai, that they can't resist each other, but they're supposed to hate each other. Like, let's pretend to not hate each other so that we can get through all the things that we're dealing with. It's like forced proximity, one bed trope, like all of those things that are the perfect formula for enemies to lovers romance. But I'm not feeling the fantasy vibe that I was expecting. I don't know if it's gonna pick up, and I don't know what I'm hoping for. At this point, I'm just gonna go in the rest of this book with little to no expectations, because I feel like that is where I got myself disappointed in the first place, because I was just expecting it to be fantasy, underlying romance that I said like a million times in this update. I think I'm just gonna go the rest of this book, and I'm probably just going to binge it and then come back unless something crazy happens, or if I have a very strong opinion, because I have some of those. But yeah, I'm not gonna be able to finish it tonight because I do have to work tomorrow, but I'm gonna read as much as I can and then finish it tomorrow. That is my update. I'm gonna try and be positive with all of this. It's just not what I expected. It's not bad. I think it's a me problem. We'll figure it out. With their tension, I can't. They are kidding themselves. They don't hate each other. They love each other. I see right through you. I see right through you. But it was all pretend after all. At least that is what I keep telling myself. These two are in such denial. I can't. So we know who Ava is now. My little theory at the beginning of this reading vlog, ignore me, that was dumb. Moving on. A is Ava, who is Kit and Kai's younger sister who passed away. I don't think she's gone. I think that she's going to show up, and there's a lot of talk about these mixed people with like mixed powers and all of that. There's a lot of discussion happening with that. I think that maybe she was mixed. Maybe? Is that stupid? It might be stupid, but that is my thought on that. Also, after my last update and my realization of how I think this book is formulated, I did a little bit of tweaking in my brain, and so now I'm just here for the vibes, and I'm recognizing that it's a big focus in the romance, and now I'm having a great time. The romance is romancing, the banter is bantering, the tension is tensioning, and I'm here for it. So these two are kidding themselves. They are in such denial that they truly love each other, and this attraction between them is just so palpable. Like, I can feel it. But I'm excited for whatever fantasy aspect that's going to come in, because I have a feeling that we're just getting all of these like plot points and nuggets of information that are sprinkled throughout, not really acted upon, and it's just kind of subtly weaving a web underneath all of the romance and tension and trying to get back to Ilya and all of that stuff. And at the end, it's just going to be a big realization and a whoa moment. Maybe that's what's happening here? I don't know. But strictly vibes. I'm here for it. We're having a good time. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read for a little bit longer. Then I'm going to go to sleep, and I will check back up with you tomorrow. Okay, I am on chapter 42, which means I'm 85% through this book. I am almost done. There's a lot going on right now. We just had a couple of reveals. I wouldn't call them plot twists, but like reveals. One was not surprising, one was very surprising. Both are revealed in these journal entries from Peyton's dad. One of them is that the healers were paid off by the king to tell everyone that the ordinaries are diseased and that they are going to hurt the elite and their powers. Wasn't necessarily a reveal to us, but it was a big moment for Kai because that's all that he ever knew from his dad. So he's having some difficulty with that. But then we can't leave Paedon out. She finds out that he's not actually her father. She had like a stork moment and was left on his front porch. After his wife had passed away, she is having a lot of difficulty with that because that was the last thing that she was really holding on to. And with this journal that she had, all of that was like, this is the last thing that was mine. And now she's struggling. And I think at one point she does say, that was the last thing that was mine, and it's not even mine anymore. It's incredibly heartbreaking, to say the least. And that definitely shocked me, for sure. But thoughts on the book so far, because obviously I've had a lot of thoughts so far. Don't know why I said it like that. Anyways, like I said last night, I kind of tweaked how I was viewing this book, and I changed my brain to be like, this is primarily a romance, not fantasy. And that has helped me enjoy it a lot more. I will say, so I think the reason why it's like that is Lauren Roberts does a really great job with the romance side of everything and the tension and the chemistry and the banter. She is phenomenal at that. I do find though that in the more intense scenes where they get into battles or anything like that, it's a little bit rushed and there's not much detail going on. For example, so we are almost back to Ilya and we are going through this area. What is it called? I'm really great at remembering things. They're going through the Sanctuary of Souls. They come across these bandits, and there is this scene where Paedon has to step up and the bandits, you know? It just rushes through it. And there's like a paragraph of her dealing with it, and then her and Kai just go straight back to banter. It feels like, in some instances, that's just the first one that came to mind because this just happened, but it's like all the romance and it's just like, I just want to insert an action scene right here. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Lauren Roberts is so phenomenal at the romance portion of it. It's just hard with the action, adventure, fantasy portions that are a little bit lacking for me, but the romance is great. I think that's all of my thoughts as of right now. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna binge the rest of it. My Kindle says I have about an hour and 14 minutes left. We'll see how this goes. I've seen some people have, well, I say some people, I've seen one intense reaction to the end of this. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued to see what's gonna happen, how this is all gonna wrap up, because like I said throughout this entire video, I feel like there have been little plot points that are put in there. One big reveal. We'll see how this one wraps up. I am feeling better about it now that I've kind of shifted my perspective and my expectations on what this book actually is, at least how I'm reading it. That's all I can say. So I'm just gonna get back into reading. I'm probably just gonna finish this up, and yeah, I don't know what else to say, so I'm just gonna get back to reading. This line, oh my god. Call us even, call me crazy, I don't care. Just call me yours. telling you, she does romance right. I'm telling you. Excuse me, sir? His bride? Oh, hell no. What? I need a minute. Now we're gonna finish off with Kai's point of view. I had the slightest inkling in this last chapter that this would be a thing, but I was really hoping it wouldn't be. Ooh. I don't know how I feel. I'm so confused. I need time. I need time. Okay. I don't know why I'm deciding to sit here. I am currently on my dog's bed and I just want a different backdrop, okay? Okay, moving on. So it's been a few hours since I finished Reckless. I've been able to kind of gather my own thoughts, but also have some conversations with some book besties on Instagram. Just see if I'm valid in my thoughts and feelings. So we're just gonna go through everything. I think this is crooked. I don't know if it's still crooked. If I just made it crooked, I'm sorry, but I'm not fixing it. I'm just gonna start off with my rating for this book. I gave Reckless 3 stars. That might change. I don't know, because I don't want to give it like a 2.75, and I don't think for me that it's higher than a 3. So as I've been saying through this whole video, it felt like this didn't really have a plot. There wasn't really any momentum going. Peyton and Kai, enemies to lovers. That's basically all this was. It was Peyton and Kai figuring out their feelings, paired with the fact that they both each other's fathers. And then Kit going around the castle just acting weird. My feelings still stay the same, that this felt more like a romance with an underlying fantasy environment, but there was no fantasy plot at all, in my opinion. But I thought that that opinion was me just being super hard on the book. I had a lot of expectations and all of this. Then I went and I found other people's reviews. I had not watched or listened to or looked up any reviews for this book. I wanted to go in completely blind. I didn't want to have any preconceived notions. And a lot of people feel the same way that I did throughout the book. In a nutshell, this book is Peyton and Kai figuring out their feelings, Peyton calling Kai insufferable, them getting into weird situations, and then saying they'll pretend to like each other when they really do like each other, but they're more so pretending to hate each other. It is the same scenes and the same conversation over and over and over and over again. It was getting very repetitive and there was no forward movement. I had a moment where I was like, ooh, we're about to get somewhere, when Finn and Lena and Lenny, they all showed up. And then we find out about these mixes, or mixed with the powers and everything. And I'm like, oh, this is what we're gonna follow. No, Nothing happened with that. The people from the rebellion were literally in this book for like 2 chapters, and then all of a sudden, Peyton and Kai get captured for another 2 chapters, and then they escape and then don't talk about it anymore. This felt like a character-driven romance fiction with random action suspense scenes just tossed in there that are not discussed for the rest of the story. Like, none of it lines up, none of it makes sense, and I was expecting the same level of fantasy plot as Powerless, because I love Powerless, and this just, it wasn't the same level. There are several people that absolutely love this book, and I love that for you, because I wanted to love this book so much, but it just did not hit for me. I see a lot of people saying that if you didn't like this book, you didn't like Powerless. This book was very different from Powerless. I know people want to say it's the same, but it's not, in my opinion. All of this is my opinion. But I feel like what was talked about a lot in Powerless that people were really praising Lauren Roberts about was the romance side of this fantasy and the tension that they felt. It was the way that she incorporated it into the fantasy plotline that made it even more impressive and even more like a, ooh, we love this, you know? She dove in real hard with the romance tension plot points. The fantasy wasn't there for me. There was no continuation of Powerless. It just felt like nothing happened. And the other thing too is the only bit that they talked about the rebellion that happened at the end of Powerless, they talk about it with Finn, Lenny, and Lena, and they're like, oh yeah, it happened. We lost. The rebellion's done. And that's it. No other conversations are happening. And I feel like there are so many opportunities for this book to be same level of Powerless, if not even better. For some people, this was a lot better for Powerless for them, because this is more their taste. This just isn't my taste. I was expecting a fantasy book and I got a romance book, a very repetitive romance book. I feel like this could have been a novella, or almost like this could have been in the format of Assassin's Blade, where it's a collection of novellas and not just one story that just felt so dragged out. Individualize the little bits of action and adventure to explain the story further, and then go to the next book. Also, something else, people's reactions to the end of the book, people were so shocked and surprised. I was just confused. Like, I wasn't shocked or surprised. I was just like, wait, this is how we're ending it? This is what's happening? Like, I'm confused, I have questions, I'm gonna read the next book. I feel like I've expended all the words that I can with how I feel about this book. I personally was disappointed, and I hate saying that because I was so looking forward to this book. I love Powerless, I love Lauren Roberts' writing. She nails it with the romance, the banter, the tension. Like, she's got that down, but I really wanted fantasy in here. I really wanted more fantasy. That is my personal opinion. Leave down in the comments below if you've read this, what your thoughts are, because I want to know. I want to see if I'm being too harsh, but also keep in mind that reading is very relative, it's very personal, and this just didn't hit for me. This could be your new favorite book of all time, and I can see why. If you're really into Peyton and Kai's romance thing that they've got going on, I'm sure you do love this book. It's just not what I went into this book expecting and looking for. Do you get what I'm saying? I hope so. I hope I'm not being too harsh. I don't want to be too harsh, but I'm a little passionate about this one. Anyways, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have an amazing day, night, afternoon, whatever it is for you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.